daily world climate change news, making the headlines. Habitat protection doesn't guarantee species protection. Are fungi foods doing environmental good? Beehives helping ease human wildlife conflict in Kenya. Record deforestation in Brazilian jungle. Economic collapse of lower income nations due to climate change. Why it snowed at Moscow in May, explained. Lebanon's energy crisis leads the transition to renewables. Sompeta declared as wetland by National Green Tribunal India. Turf removal mandated by new Las Vegas law. Now the news and details. Just because land is protected doesn't mean it will save species. The scientists have struggled to ease out the effects of land protection in a messy and complicated dynamics that drive ecosystems. The researchers chose waterbirds to understand how protected areas help wildlife. Because they are found around the world, they can move quickly if a place is unsuitable. They tracked how these bird populations fared as the years passed in 1500 protected areas and how that compared to their numbers in similar areas that weren't protected. The results showed that habitat protection alone doesn't guarantee that water birds will thrive. The findings echo another research showing that habitat protections on paper don't always translate into results on the ground. Team of researchers from Sweden and Germany included microbial protein in a computer simulation model to observe the environmental effect on the food and agriculture system. They found out that by substituting 20% of meat per capita by 2050, deforestation and carbon dioxide emissions from land use change would be halved annually. The decreased number of cattle do not only reduce the pressure on land, but also reduce methane emissions from the cattle and nitrous oxide emissions from the fertilizing field or manure management. Hence, replacing minced red meat with microbial protein would start reducing the adverse impact of beef production. The Kenyan government has distributed beehives worth 3 million Kenyan shillings to farmers in Meru country of Kenya in the hopes of keeping elephants at bay. The communities living near the forest have been in constant conflict with the animals who are encroaching human settlement in search of food and water. In the past year alone, in the period of 5 months, the country lost 62 elephants to starvation, prompting the Minister of Tourism to address the parliament on the crisis. Elephants do not get closer to beehives, making it a safer option for residents to keep them at bay. In April 2022, Brazil reached a new record of deforestation with more than 1,000 square kilometers of felled jungle. According to the National Institute of Spatial Inquiries, the cutting down of trees was about 74.6% more than the same month in 2021. The number of kilometers represents 1389 soccer fields, says Greenpeace Brazil. The Brazilian jungle is considered one of the most valuable ecosystems for climate change mitigation in South America for its carbon capture functions. With less jungle, the amount of CO2 captured by the trees worsens the climate change situation. According to S&P Global Ratings, roughly 12% of low to middle income countries' economic outputs will be threatened compared to 3% for high and upper middle income nations. Based on a moderate scenario, the paper cautions that South Asia is particularly vulnerable, 10 times more so than Europe, due to its susceptibility to storms, floods, and rising sea levels. Climate finance is critical for developing countries to build resilience against climate change, to which they have contributed relatively less. The reason for the snowfall on May 4th in the capital city of Russia was that cold air masses that came to the region from north of the circumpolar zone. According to the weather forecaster, this is not unique to the city. The last frost in the region were in June and the last snowfall was on the 20th of May. Although it is already the spring season in Russia, June always symbolizes beginning of the summer. The same snowfall might be witnessed throughout the whole Russia in various cities. The last couple of years have been very challenging from Lebanon. as the country is dealing with the ongoing political and economic crises. Due to the shortage of fuel, the country is suffering from electricity breakouts, and the scene of long car queues near gas stations has become a new norm. Under these circumstances, the renewable market is thriving as the increase in demand gives rise to a rapid rise in supply, with solar energy companies, contractors, and individuals. The transition involves the private and public sector equally. And last year, Lebanon has witnessed the highest demand for photovoltaic systems. Sompeta water body in Srikakulam district of Andhra Pradesh, India was declared a wetland under the Wetlands Conservation and Management Rules 2017 by National Green Tribunal after a long period of lawsuits. The Salim Ali Center for Ornithology and Natural History submitted a report to the Ministry of Environment and Forest of India advocating the extremely climate positive roles of this body. It was stated that these wetlands, which are vital parts of the hydrological cycle, are highly productive and support an exceptionally large biological diversity. The action sets an example for the urgent need to protect all the wetlands for climate resilience. The Colorado River and Lake Mead, which supply water to Nevada state, have been shrinking due to 20 years of drought in the region and climate change. Therefore, as a strict measure to mitigate and adapt to the climate crises, grasses have been outlawed in Las Vegas and must be removed patch by patch by 2027. The ban on turf as a new measure can decrease water use up to 20%. According to the authorities, almost 3,900 acres of grass will be removed, leading to preserving 9.5 billion gallons of water each year. That's all for the news this week. Thank you for watching Weekly World Climate Change News. Stay tuned for more next week. Goodbye.